Okay, so far I think we can start. So thank you very much, of course, for this invitation to present here one of our papers. Together with Ivan Sergio from the Helmut Schmidt University and the Hamburg Institute of International Economics, and also in my person, also affiliated researcher to the Hamburg Institute of International Economics. So. The topic is a global challenge of using and the adaptation of cryptocurrencies. We choose a specific headline. So it's a global search exploring cryptocurrencies adaptation with evidence from spatial models. So this is already much more than work in progress. It's accepted for publication in a really good journal called Financial Innovation, which is one of the 5% top journals in this financial topic. So, and so far as we are, of course, still open for discussion, but we already succeeded also or have some success stories behind this. So the outline is relatively short and quite usual. We start with introduction and we'll tell a little bit about the data, descriptions, and so far, coming then to the results at the end. And yes, we are looking forward then for the discussion of our findings and how we could further develop some content in this context. So the full topic of global cryptocurrency adaptation is relatively underexplored. So there are, of course, some papers already in the literature and also reviewed, peer-reviewed papers, but still there's a lack of evidence of econometrical evidence of the use and adaptation. So it is recognized, of course, in the public. It is widely recognized in the public. It is used also by many people. But we have to look, of course, also in this context, who is using it and who is applying then this kind of currencies and how the perception of cryptocurrencies is also as an alternative to the economic of financial systems. So, while studying this, of course, it's highlighting it has an increasing acceptance. It has an increasing, especially discussion in the public. So this is discussed by the European Bank, for instance, to set up an own cryptocurrency, and also in the context of many countries, it is used on and also applied. The yeah, the literature suggests here different ideas of the use of it. Mainly, if you look on the US or Western countries' use of cryptocurrencies, it seems to be that it's the literature quoted as more as an let's say a digital speculative asset. So in the context how it is used, if you look then on some other countries, then it is used possibly more in the context of less stable countries or something which is related also with corruption and other, let's say, negative narratives to this use and adaptation of cryptocurrencies. What is also obvious that the investors using cryptocurrencies are those who are well educated, young, of course, are relatively young and digital native. So this is also associated with the use of cryptocurrencies. This is less people in a specific age. This is more the youth and not only, but this is one thing which is associated with it. Yeah, or possibly also some other related content which is discussed here, which is about sanctions to specific countries. Venezuela is here as an example, which is using cryptocurrencies and other countries like Iran and Russia. So it's somehow linked to some illegal, let's say, and sanctions-driven adaptations. And this seems to be also an quite interesting link. So to sum up a little bit, in Western countries, it is associated um, with speculative asset, and in non-Western countries, it is more associated with corruption and unstable countries. So that's what it is, or how it is discussed in the literature, and also how it is discussed in media, actually. Um, so this about the let's say motivation at first. So the crypto adaptation is relatively, unequal distributed. It's not on such huge level. So you find a huge adaptation rate, especially in those mentioned countries like Russia, Iran, but also in France, for instance, India, or also in UK and the United States. So it's not equally distributed around the world. So somewhere between some, let's say southern countries, but also some Western countries. So somehow a different adaptation rate around the world. If you look then on the countries self, so to rise it up a little bit, or to go here a little bit more in detail, we have here the top 20 countries for the crypto ownerships. So from here we have a list of countries from the United Arab Emirates to Turkey, just to give an example. And there you already see the mixture of different countries which are already mentioned. So from United Arab Emirates, Saudi Arabia, for instance, but also United States has quite huge adaptation rate or adaptation ownership here. Is it actually not the adaptation rate as self? And then we have there also some other Western countries like France, United Kingdom, as I mentioned already before. So it's a unequal distribution worldwide. Um, if we look then just only to give another example for the ownership, for the future ownership of cryptocurrencies, um, there are different regions worldwide where the expectation to hold cryptocurrencies in the future will increase. So that's just indicated, for instance, by this bank who has raised this kind of questionnaire, and it came up with this result, especially high here for Turkey, for instance, but also the use could be relatively high in future in Europe or also in the US. So this is more or less here equally distributed. And this is just only, I have mentioned the use of cryptocurrencies in general. So this is not, of course, about Bitcoin use, which is the most popular one. I don't want to say that. There are also other ones, right? So, and of course, there are much more data on the use of Bitcoins, but here is it generally asked for cryptocurrencies worldwide. And this is also how we used it then later in the paper. You will see it then. So, coming then from these ideas, we have three hypotheses in our paper, and these three are distributed. So it's something about the value in economically unstable countries. So how is it then used especially in those countries, is a little bit also the first working hypothesis. High inflation, for instance, is linked to the use of cryptocurrencies. The idea is if you have countries with a high inflation, then there's a shift to an alternative currency. This could be then the cryptocurrency like Bitcoin or other ones. So, for instance. So the main idea is here to have then stable purchasing power. Um, and the hope is here then linked to the cryptocurrency presence. So the infrastructure as a catalyst for crypto adaptation is then the second hypothesis. The main idea is here that you need a relatively good internet infrastructure, so which is essential for the use. Otherwise, you are not able to trade them and or effectively trade them. And so far, there's a necessity for the use of this kind of adaptation. So then, this is also relatively new in this context. We look also on the spatial phenomena and crypto adaptation using, you will see later, then spatial models to correct for factors like social freedom, corruption levels, for instance, and use also specific indicators, of course, for measuring it, but trying also to look if there are specific neighboring effects and some other effects which might be relevant for the use of the crypto adaptation. Um, yeah, the main informations about the data set is relatively easy. I will show it in the next slide actually also. We use the adaptation levels for cryptocurrencies in different countries for the year 2020, and then apply yeah, the other data lagged actually by an average by 1 year. There are some other specific data which are calculated in averages, but mainly they are lagged by 1 year. And using there are also different indicators for a sample of 125 countries. So these are the data coming mainly from the World Bank, but some also other data are used by Freedom House or the Democracy. So this is mostly from QGIS, I think, the Quality of Government Index, which is where the data are collected by the University of Gothenburg. Actually, they have a very nice data bank of this. And then we have some other indicators like yeah, inflation I mentioned already, but also about the income shares, if there are some inequalities which are relevant for the use, or also the banks actually, how is the number of banks, for instance? Is this an indicator for the adaptation um, of cryptocurrencies? Since if there are, this is the assumption, if there are less banks, for instance, then there's a need for alternatives. So if, at least if you have internet, and then to demand then alternatives like cryptocurrency. So this is another indicator here. And then capital openness, of course, I think it's self-explaining. And remittance is also quite interesting. So if you have high migrant remittance outflows, so outflows of values from one country to another country, then it might be that cryptocurrencies play here a special that they have a special position, that they are specifically highly demanded, and so far also relevant then in the context of the use of um, the adaptation of or the holding of cryptocurrencies. So we have here, as I said already, we use here the data for the year 2020. The others are mainly coming from for the years from 21, so that we elect them. And there's just a few um, ex, some other uses. For instance, the growth rate, of course, here we already indicated is calculated as the growth rate. The inflation rate is also calculated as an exchange or as a change actually. And the remittance outflow is just only an average outflow of the years 2018 and 20. Yeah. So far, are the data. Um, to sum up a little bit, we have look on the access to the banking services. So, as I already mentioned, if this is limited or not. Then we have a special reason for the store of value in economically unstable countries. So countries with an high unstable currency rate like Argentina and Turkey are using possibly, or not only possibly, but using much more cryptocurrencies than other countries. And then we have the technological prerequisites for adaptation. So those which have countries which have a strong technological sector like Singapore, the US, are also um, holding much higher percentages of cryptocurrencies. The regulatory environment, I mentioned already, young population. I came also up with the idea of this social conditions, like corruption and liberties are captured and remittance. I'm already, yeah, came up with some ideas beyond it. If you look then on the top 20 of the 125 countries which we analyzed here, then we see, for instance, here this in the first pictures we have here on the Y the ownership crypto, and here different indicators like the bank branches per population. Um, then we have here the capital openness, the income share of the top 10% of the population, the GDP per capita, the per capita and constant prices. Then we see there more or less, yeah, no clear linear relationship, for instance. And also if we look on the other, let's say, indicators like the individuals using the internet, broadband access, the tertiary education indicators, the population ages, for instance, there are widespread. Mostly there are some exceptions, but there's no big relation actually. So, and also civil liberties and political corruption, and also an inflation rate. There seems to be, yeah, let's say, not such a strong relation, or neither any relation. And this picture of the first, just only of the first 20 countries. So, and as I mentioned, we observed in our sample much more countries and also used a little bit more differently the data actually. So far, I came here with my first, let's say, impression of the literature and also about the data which we used. And the next step, Ivan will much more explain about the model, about the estimation strategy, and also about, yeah, not all of the results, but a few results, because there are many results. And yeah, so far, thank you. Ivan, the floor is yours.
Okay, can you hear me? Okay, perfect.
Perfect.
Okay. Okay, can you stay here?
Yeah.
Perfect. We applied a GLM model to ensure the quality of what?
Yeah, I'm sorry, something is wrong again.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, okay. To ensure the quality of our estimation, because the Shapiro will test result indicate that our Y doesn't follow a normal distribution. So in this case, it's better to use a GLM model instead of a classical OLS. The next one. And then we applied a generalized spatial two-stage least square model that give us such a robust result and address also for spatial relation that we can have and we have in this field in this data. Next one. So our spatial model accounts for spatial autocorrelation, as I said, correct for endogeneity, and provide robust result, robust estimates. So this is quite important approach that we apply, and I want to say that this is at least as I know, is the first paper that apply a spatial model for cryptocurrency. We believe that there are spatial relationship. So usually we apply spatial model at regional level or provincial level. In this case, we apply a spatial model for country level. This may be a problem, but still can be important to understand at macro level the relationship that we can have between different countries in terms of crypto adoption. Then next one. Okay, here we have the diagnostic for spatial dependence. We have both spatial error dependence, so the error terms is correlated, and also this, the spatial lag. So we have both spatial error and spatial lag. Both they are not robust, but still there is some kind of effect. So we decided to apply the spatial lag because we will see in maybe in the next slide, I'm not sure, but there is correlation. There is correlation in all our variable. So in this case can be better to apply a spatial autoregressive model than a spatial error model. So that's why we decided to apply the spatial autoregressive model. And here, the GLM is, of course, the best model. And as you can see, the spatial autoregressive model is the last one, but is very close to the other result. And so we decided to apply finally the first and the last one in the table. Go ahead. Okay. As you can see, as I said, there is spatial autocorrelation between our country for all our variable from starting from crypto adoption to capital openness or banks. So there is some kind of autocorrelation. Next slide. And here the result. So we will show you just the result from the spatial model. And first result, age matter. So age is the working age share. of population, and is still significant and positive. So more population we have in the working age, more adoption in terms of our Y. Fixed broadband, it's important for it's significant and positive. Then we have almost no result for inflation, but we can explain that because we applied this data for the 2022. So in the middle of COVID-19, where we had such a kind of huge variation in terms of inflation around the world because of the COVID. And so we probably lose some kind of significant because of that for inflation. Then corruption is positive and significant. So we have we know that corruption can imply some kind of can push people to use cryptocurrency, maybe to avoid the corruption, the corruption of the system of the country, or maybe because they Bitcoin or this kind of cryptocurrency can be used by the corruption system. So there are two ways to interpret this result. And then the most important, in my view, the most important result is about the unbanked population. So less bank we have, more adoption in terms of cryptocurrency, because people the unbanked people try to have this kind of service. So cryptocurrency can reply to the need of bank services around the world. So from that, we have some kind of policy implication, of course. And then capital openness. So more freedom in terms of capital openness, less adoption. So the two variables are, of course, linked in some way. And then we have the spatial result. So we see some kind of competitive effect here because of the infrastructure. So fixed broadband, the W fixed broadband, so the spatially lagged fixed broadband has negative effect on Y. So from this we can interpret as competitive effect because countries that are very strong in terms of fixed broadband can attract owners from other countries. So that's why we interpret as competitive effect. And then the last, but also quite important results come from the last variable that we have here, the remittances outflow, because from this variable we can say, from the result of this variable, we can say that cryptocurrency can be used also for remittances. So it's already present, this effect is already present, and we can see from the result that we have, of course. And then the next slide. Okay. So cryptocurrency can run financial inclusion for a banked population, for unserved population by bank, of course. Can also be a factor of can be interpreted cryptocurrency adoption also as a trust factor, because if you don't believe in your country, in your money, in euro or dollar or some other kind of currency, you can switch to cryptocurrency. This can be also an interpretation. There are cross-border considerations. Still, I want to say that it is country analysis, no regional, but still there are, and this is important, because still, also if we don't use regional analysis, we don't have this kind of data, still the effects are quite robust. So this is important to say. And last one, the competitive effect that we already mentioned before during the explanation of our result. Next one. Key findings. Internet access is crucial for the adoption stage. When in the initial adoption stage, we didn't show the result here because we applied also a quantile analysis where we see that the fixed broadband is particularly important in the early stage of the adoption. Then the broadband have ability to promote adoption at all the level, and remittances outflow facilitate cross-border transaction. Negative impact of inflation on adoption may be related to the switch from other country, other currency that we have, like US dollar or euro in a unstable economy. So can be also some kind of competition in terms of choosing between crypto or some kind of other stable currency like dollar or euro. So there are many fields of competition in this topic. And then the competitive landscape. So high adoption country tend to absorb more cryptocurrency. We didn't show here the result because we have the raw result that say that there is this kind of competitive landscape also from the raw result. And then the gravitational effect suggests that countries with greater financial freedom attract more capital. So this is gravitational or competitive effect in the sense that country that has more freedom can attract capital, crypto capital from other countries. The limitation of the paper are related to the data quality and the variability of our data, because we have only 1 year. So our estimation are built on just 1 year. And so we hope in the future to build at least a little panel just to check better our result. So maybe can be also some kind of missing value that we don't consider in our paper, related to the regional factor that of course we don't have here. Then last slide, I think so. No. Next one. Policy implication. So cryptocurrency may be viewed as a potential solution for financial challenge in a stable economy. Policymakers should aim to strengthen the local banking infrastructure rather than just increase cryptocurrency adoption. future research, of course, there is a lack of data, and we should consider that and try to improve in the future. And broader the temporal data. This is another lack of our paper. Danke.